So you're that person that's stuck in 2002 that swears that vanilla beatdown is the best strategy in the game. Nothing can surpass normal summon whatever vanilla way be Gemini Elf equipped with God knows what, just acts of despair and just hit your opponent a billion times over the span of 50 turns. And no matter how much copium you adhere, people tell you that vanilla monsters are trash. Well, do I have a surprise for you. Thanks to this NNR festival, as people are playing Metaphors like crazy, whether it be Megalith or whatever other combo variants, there are some funny little strategies here and there, which are in fact really, valuable and also surprisingly good to play in normal ranked. At least that's when it comes to Phantasm Spiral. Now, thanks to the little list that they did for the tournament, a few of our cards that are good and generally needed, such as Pathfinder, Fates of the Unraveled Tenyi, Sea Stealth Attack, and Phantasm Spiral Battle, got put to one. Which means we gotta look for another engine. And that's when Giant Ballpark comes in. A mismatch of field spells that make normal monsters seem like the gods among men. You see a vanilla monster with 2000 attack, you better fear to God. This is Matt C, and he is coming for your toes. Because this whole deck is centered around the fact that normal monsters are the way. Phantasm Spiral, the Pacifist, the Phantasm City, basically says win the game. Same goes for a Giant Ballpark. Depending on what way you're going, this deck can actually go first or second. Pacifist is for going first, Ballpark is for going second. Either one can also work going second or first, but usually Ballpark is your second card and Pacifist is your going first. What do these do? Pacifist, as long as you control no tokens, whenever your opponent activates any card or effect, you get a token. That's like a 2k. Pretty good by itself. But on top of this, whenever a normal monster, which this token is in fact a normal monster, is normal or special summoned by itself to your field, you get to search your deck for any Phantasm Spiral card. That's pretty good. On top of this, all the Phantasm Spiral traps have the effect that as long as you control Umi, and the only monster that you control are normal monsters, you can activate them from your hand. Which means that you activate Pacifist City, pass, opponent activate anything, get token, get negate, or get pop, screw your opponent, you win +2, win game. But if that, isn't much of your style, there's Giant Ballpark in the deck as well, which has the very fun condition that if anybody would take damage, well, to just say no to the take damage. And on top of that, you get to send a normal monster, insect monster, from your deck to the grave. And, like it says right here, if it is a normal monster, you can special summon as many copies of that monster that you have from your graveyard, hand, or deck to the field. So you send Shiny Black Sea Squatter, special summon 3 of it. Because ain't that fun? And on top of this, if any of your insect normal monsters would leave the field, just special summon another one again. That effect is once per turn though, and both effects are once per turn. But still, that means that if you commit to a Shiny Black Sea Squatter and they Torrential Tribute you, and you still have the Giant Ballpark up, you just resummon it. Good. You got rid of it, here I am, back at it again. This also does have some fun implications in the form of Gokipole. Now, Gokipole is a very interesting monster, which whenever sent to the graveyard, you can essentially add a level 4 insect from your deck to your hand. Now, if it's a normal monster, you can then special summon that insect and pop any card in your field. So ain't that fun? A floater that gives you a free special summon and a pop. And by the way, it is in fact sent to graveyard, meaning that Giant Ballpark can send it to grave so that you can get a quick play pop. Now, ain't that fun? But that's not all. Pacifist, the Phantasm City, does give us a few other stuff in this form of Phantasm Spiral Grip. You can equip this to any normal monster, again 500 attack, pretty good. But if it destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon a Phantasm Spiral Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, equip the Phantasm Spiral Grip to it, and burn your opponent for 1000. So you get a 3400 attack monster, you burn your opponent for 1000, and if they get rid of it, you just probably get another one, summon it back, and good little heavens, you know, whatever you want to do. For the sake of getting to our field spells, we do have stuff like Planet Pathfinder, limited, but as well. Among these one-offs, we do have stuff like Vishuddha, which is just a free special summon, and also allows us to bounce cards on the field, back to the hand, whether it's being the hand or the graveyard, by simply controlling a normal monster. Ain't that convenient? It is probably like one of the iffy ones, which is Ancient Warrior Lord Guan Yu, which is essentially Pankratops for this format. But it is an effect monster, and a lot of these effects kind of get stopped if you have an effect monster. For example, all your traps will not be activatable if you control an effect monster. So do keep that in mind. Same goes for Phantasm Spiral City, because you cannot normal special summon effect monsters the turn you activate either of its effects. So if you do summon it, these cards are shut off. Which is why it's a good one-off for getting rid of your opponent's cards, but it's not the best. And a suggestion that you could do is run a second Phantasm Spiral Dragon. I personally don't like it because I find it to be a brick, but it works as a one-off, so that's why they're both a one. That's off with Moon Mirror Shield. Essentially equip it to any monster, it will forever run over anything. You equip Phantasm Spiral Grip to a monster, they're not big enough, give Moon Mirror Shield to it, just beat over it, over and over again. For sake of staples, we do have Mystical Space Typhoon, Ring of Destruction. There's other cards you can run, like Compulsory Evacuation Device, but I like Ring because not only does it get rid of the problem, they just can't summon it next turn, but also it does a bit of burn, which allows the OTK to get quicker, because as you may have noticed, 2000 plus 2000 plus 2000 doesn't equal 8000. Now, if you pop something that's 2000 or more with Ring of Destruction, next turn 2000 plus 2000 plus 2000 will indeed be able to kill your opponent. We also have stuff like Lost Wind, thanks to Metal Foals and Megalith and other decks that do go into the Esther deck in this event. This essentially becomes a 2-for-1 because it will allow you to negate an effect, specifically a monster that was special summoned. You can negate its effect and also cut its attack in half, original attack, and that's a permanent effect, meaning that it will then draw onto them even with the card left the field and everything. It's not until the end of the turn, which is really, really good, because that means that if they went into Vortex Dragon, you know, this little annoying cuckoo caca, and they didn't have a Metal Foals in their extra deck to negate, you just Lost Win it, and useless. Half his attack gone. Effect negated forever. Poo-poo. And if they would ever summon from the extra deck again by Pendulum Summoning, if you're going up against Metal Foals, you can just grab this from the graveyard, put it back on the field, and it'll get banished once it leaves the field again. But you get 2 uses out of it. This is really good. Also, you can use this during the damage step, so if they try to attack onto you, your monsters are 2000. Usually, cutting their attacks in half will equal them to be less than 2000, so you'll be able to make them crash into themselves. So, Lost Wind honestly has a lot of really good applications. Now, to the hand traps, because these are technically traps that you can activate from the hand. Phantasm Spiral Battle is a quick play pop, which will allow you to also banish it from the graveyard to then target a normal monster you control, and you'll be able to equip all Phantasm Spiral equip spells that you have to that monster. Now, the other one that we do have is Phantasm Spiral Power, which you can also do during the damage step, which allows you to do a very similar effect to a Lost Wind. You can target an effect monster your opponent controls, that monster loses 1000 attack and defense, also has effects negated, which is really nice. Also, you can banish it from the graveyard, and you can equip any Phantasm Spiral Grip or Phantasm Spiral Equip spell from your graveyard or hand to that monster, which is really good, because that means that if you lost your Phantasm Spiral Grip, but you had a Phantasm Spiral Power in the graveyard, you can just simply banish it, equip the grip again, resummon the Spiral Dragon, pop off. A really funny one is Dogmatic Punishment. A similar strategy behind the Ring of Destruction. While there are better removals in the form of Torrential Tribute and stuff like that, I don't like clearing my own board because I need to keep board presence, and even if that means stopping my opponent, if I hinder myself by cutting off my own leg, I'm not going to be able to run anymore. And Dogmatic Punishment can become a unironic +2, I mean at least +1, because you can send a card such as Fossil Machine Skullwagon to the grave, which you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one spell or trap on the field, destroy it. So, by activating Dogmatic Punishment, sending to the graveyard one card from your extra deck to then pop a card your opponent controls, as long as you know its attack is less than 17, you'll then be able to banish this from the grave and then pop one on the back row, and you'll be able to basically outrun them in terms of the card game value. Card game value? The card advantage value. But in case their attack is in fact bigger than 17, we do have cards like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and also Dragon Master Knight. Unironically, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is funny enough summonable by the effect of Feats on their rival Tenyi, because if this set card would be destroyed, you can in fact special summon a non-effect monster from your extra deck, which Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is in fact a non-effect monster. So, Kaiba fans, you're in luck. Speaking of Fates of their rival Tenyi, this is basically Solemn Judgment, as long as you control no monster, which is really good, and as like we said, it also has a similar Waking the Dragon sort of effect if it's popped by an MSC or anything like it. And last but not least is a really good floodgate for this deck, which is 6 Stealth Attack. Essentially allows you to protect your field spells, and on top of that, if any level 8 or any level 5 or higher water monster would attack a monster your opponent controls, or their attack, you can essentially destroy the monster before damage calculation is even applied. So essentially, Phantasm Spiral Dragon and the token created by Phantasm Spiral City, since it will be in fact a level 8 token, will indeed meet these conditions and you'll be able to run over whatever you have to. Just in case, for the sake of the extra deck, we do have Diamond Crab, which is just big booty that can become big sword and then just smack opponent. Malevolent Sin for the sake of having removal in the extra deck. Imduk for the sake of having a very similar effect to see Stealth Attack by just using any normal monster. Defender of the Labyrinth, which is sort of a like the attribute monsters, like a Wicked Witch or a Mrs. Radiant, but for specifically normal monsters, and if it is destroyed, you can special summon any normal monster from your grave. So this you can probably revive some Phantasm Spiral Dragon, Shiny Black Sea Squatter, whatever you're into. Triple Burst Dragon, since it's really handy for the sake of negating stuff during the battle phase, on top of actually being able to do piercing battle damage, which is not too shabby. And in case you want a big bungus, you have Berserker of Tenyi, which is a Link 3. It's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, overall, this deck is surprisingly nice. I like that everything sort of has value in it. Nothing ever feels dead necessarily. Like a Dogmatic Punishment, like I said, can become multiple disruptions, or just simply a big kahuna to get out of the place. You can storm the field really easily thanks to Pacifist, with being able to give you token, then search interruptions, or Giant Ballpark simply being able to special summon big vanillas to then being able to OTK. This deck actually does really well. It's very aggro, it can also control if do be needed, and most of the time you will out-resource your opponent. If you know how your opponent needs to play, you can definitely bait out. I had a match against a Metaphors player where I ended up winning because they tried to Metaphors Fusion me, and I Ring of Destruction, their Metaphors on field, and guess what? You needed one from the field, or hand, and extra deck, so apparently they didn't have one in hand, and they fizzled out. So if you know your matchups, and you know what cards to out, the deck definitely is very much tailored around that. If there's anything that you want to change, that's up to you. Most likely the cards that you can change are MST, Ring of Destruction, Lost to Wind, Dogmatic Punishment. Mostly up to you. These are just simply staples helping to keep the deck alive and afloat. But yeah, Palios also work with this deck since they are normal monsters. I just haven't found a really good use for Palios, even stuff like Danomiskis, because that -1 really does end up hurting if you're trying to keep your resource game up, and that's basically the name of the game when it comes to the NR format. Whoever keeps the most resources in field will indeed win. Reason why Metaphors is so good, they're just a resource engine. But yeah, overall, Palios are also a really good inclusion if you want to play them. I actually was playing Paleo Phantasm Spiral before I went against an opponent who kicked my ass with Giant Ballpark, and I was like, I have an idea! What if I missed what if I mismatch 2 decks and they work? And as you can see right here, it doesn't work and I'm working. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the replays, because it's, I think, a really good deck for this format, and I hope you end up enjoying it. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye and enjoy the replays.